Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the ROONS MIZZ podcast. I'm Runes,
And I'm Miz.
and we're going to come at you every Friday to talk about all things Arsenal Football Club. So, Miz, what do we got on the docket today?
Yeah, this week's agenda items are going to include the England under 21s, briefly chat about them and with how they're fitting into our squad. The Fulham preview tomorrow and the league kicking off. Some transfers, ins and outs, how Arteta's fared so far, and the season ahead. And lastly, the last topic is who potential champions could be and who the potential relegation contenders are.
Alrighty,
So
perfect.
yeah, let's get it going.
Tons of good stuff, tons of talking points to go over. So let me just start the timer right here, and let's go. Okay, so first, England under 21s and Aston Villa, the preseason. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to judge with a game like Villa. You just won the Community Shield the week before. I didn't even really see the game. Just saw some read about it. It was hard to find highlights. Apparently, it was an okay game. We didn't play as good as we normally do, but those games are always interesting. Those friendlies, they test a lot of things and might move a lot of players in and out. So I wouldn't say that that's a big indicator of the season and what we're looking at. I don't think it's one to really be like, oh, we lost to Villa and we should worry. The England under 21s, we obviously got some players, and Eddie Nketiah has proven to blossom. Played well at Leeds when he was there, and he seems to be fitting into the first team pretty well. So he's an exciting young player to watch.
Scored 4 goals in 2 games.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's up there for Shearer's record of goals for the under 21 squad.
Yeah.
Shearer turned out to be a pretty good striker in his day.
He was all right.
It wasn't bad. So yeah, that's great to see.
Yeah.
And back with the Aston Villa thing, like I haven't seen any highlights at all.
Yeah.
It was very kept under the rug and secretive. I know we lost 3-2. Aubameyang scored 2 goals.
Yeah, but he had a good goal, I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, agreed. It's not. I mean, sometimes we'll play a team from like the 3rd division in these preseasons, and you end up losing, and you never like to see it. It's always a little bit like, well, why are we if we're losing to a team in a different league? Then that's horrible.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, obviously the manager's probably just throwing out all kinds of different players in different positions and testing things out and just seeing what happens when you do X, Y, and Z. So
yeah. Well, yeah, and it's a good test for them. Like I don't think, we didn't play very well against Villa at the end of the season, but like also, that run of form was hit or miss based on coronavirus as well. So I don't think it's one to really worry about. I'm more looking forward to the game tomorrow. I did think it was interesting about how many England under 21 players we have into the team right now. We are not always known as being a club that had so many English players in recent years.
Yeah. And you don't hear about it so much like the BBC, which I will still maintain that Arsenal doesn't pay their dues to the media in terms of money, because the BBC, that's the main place that I follow for EPL news.
Yep, same.
And they'll talk about Manchester United if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has a ham sandwich, then they're going to have a story on it. And yet Arsenal has all kinds of stuff going on, especially with the U21s. I mean, they have Nketiah and Reece Nelson starting all the time, scoring goals. Between them, 5 goals in the last 2 games. That's huge. If someone from Man U would have done that, that would have been front page news.
Oh yeah. They can't stop talking about Man United in the media in general, it seems. But yeah, I mean, we got like Saka's in that team as well, and Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah. Yeah. I mean, you got a lot of good young English players. Joe Willock features for them sometimes.
I didn't see if he was playing or started.
He didn't. He might be past the age now. He might be on the under 23s or trying to break into the first team. So all good English talent that we have coming through our ranks, and that's nice to see. So
if you have 3 starters playing for the U21s who are also starting for you, that's a pretty impressive stat right there. And when you look at the players, Reece Nelson, Saka, and Nketiah, Saka is already thought of as a great player. And
Oh yeah,
Ketia, I think, doesn't get his due, but hopefully he can translate some of those goals that he's scoring for the under 21s into Arsenal. But he did last year as well.
yeah.
It's so hard to break into the first team for the Premier League
Especially when
in
you
the
have
striker position.
Aubameyang and Lacazette in front of you is always going to be difficult.
Yeah,
Or Pepe. I mean, you either way you look at it, he has a tough path into the first team. So he's got
yeah,
to take his chances when they come. He's
yeah,
a good, exciting one to watch. I think he'll do good things for us in the future. Um, it's nice to see some depth in our team right now.
for sure. Well, we have that whole second squad almost of youngsters from the academy.
Yeah,
It could basically fill a great majority of the starting 11. You know, if we wanted to put Reese, Nketiah, Saka, Willock, Maitland-Niles. Well, Maitland-Niles is maybe one tier older than that. Who, by the way, he played for the first time for the real England team,
yep,
which is
he did.
all these things building his confidence, which he seems
Yeah,
like a very confidence-oriented player, very important for him. And this is all good because everyone seems to be saying, you're doing great. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Now we don't want to sell you. You're not going to go to Wolves, which I think that
yeah,
is kind of on the kibosh, but
yeah. I think he seems likely to stay now, and that could be good because with Bellerin looking like he might leave, um, and if that's a position that filling in at right back for him, he seems to be pretty comfortable playing, uh, and his pace looks there.
yeah. I mean, he's a solid utility player that we need.
Yep.
You know, I wish that he could add something more to his game, like goals or assists or something like that. But a solid utility player is not bad. I mean, you definitely need 4 or 5 of those in your lineup so that the superstars can really have space to run. So
Totally. Yep.
it's good to see.
Yeah. I think it's all good takeaways. I mean, the Villa game is maybe a look past. I don't think there's much to take from it. I'm not really concerned about that one.
And
3-2 at Villa Park. It's
hard to
it's what
judge
it
as
is. What it
well.
is. Yeah.
I mean, you can't watch it. You can't see. I did you see highlights? I didn't even see highlights.
No, I couldn't find them, and all the
That's
ones I saw
frustrating.
were reels of just people talking about it
Yeah,
and doing their BBC punditry that used to happen back in the day, where you did see the guy talking about the game and not actually happening.
I hate those YouTube fake outs.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but what about tomorrow? What do you think? Craven Cottage. We briefly talked about it last week, but Fulham back up into the Premier League, and love to see him back in the league, but kicking off against Arsenal first thing tomorrow to 12:45 p.m. game.
Yeah. I mean, Fulham and Craven Cottage is a stadium that I remember from back in the day, 2003, 2004 era, where it just seemed like every time we went there, we just destroyed them. It was almost like a
Mm,
second home field
yeah,
because it's in London. It's one of the few old stadiums, that
yep.
still has that old school look to it, which I love.
Oh yeah,
Craven
it's great,
Cottage.
great looking place. Like right mixed into the little part of town right there. It has the outside kind of looks like you be unassuming. You almost could walk right by it, not know it's a stadium.
Yeah.
That's so
And
cool.
apparently you
Yeah.
can see the River Thames from it and stuff like that. It
Mhm.
just seems like a magical place. Has the similar kind of charm as Highbury because it has
Mhm.
that old, like, this is an old English institution, great, one of the greatest names in stadium history, Craven Cottage. And it seems like when we go there, it's almost like all those things benefit us, instead of them necessarily. We have a great
Oh yeah.
record against Fulham. They're not that team that really scares you in any way, like obviously getting back into the Premier League means they must be good.
Mhm.
But they're one of those teams that's really good in the championship and always are going to struggle in the Premier League. And that's just a team that we pad our stats against. So
Totally.
it'll be
Emphatic
huge.
win. Then you think it's going to be?
I'm saying 3-0.
I think you might be right. I'm gonna go for a clean sheet and say that either 3 to 4 nil. I think they're firing on all cylinders right now. I think they're gonna be fired up starting the season tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great showcase for Aubameyang to get a couple goals, a few other people to get a couple goals. We had that goal. We beat him 5-1 a couple seasons ago had that goal where we had like 10 passes and then Ramsey finished it off with a back heel
Oh
finish.
yeah, beautiful goal.
Like just some of that team play. It's
Yeah,
really an opportunity to just kind of show what we can do, announce ourselves, and hit the ground running. And all signs look that we're going to do it. It'll be interesting
yeah.
to see what lineup we go with and all that. But essentially, right now, how I'm feeling optimistic enough that whoever we play in our starting 11, we should smash them at least 3-0.
Oh yeah, I think that we should win tomorrow's game easy, like not easily, but it's a game you should win. If they didn't get 3 points tomorrow, I think it's going to
Yeah,
be some,
it'll be tough, you know.
yeah, some question marks. There's no reason for it. Especially, I think coming back into the Premier League, the first game seems to be tough for the championship teams that are into promotion. And no matter if they won the league, like Leeds, and they're very good, I think Leeds is going to do well. But I think it's a tough transition to make for the first few weeks. The pace is different. It's more physical. They're better. They're just much
You're
better
facing
players.
you're facing talent that you just didn't see in
Yeah.
the previous season. So you're gonna
Yep.
have to deal with that. Confidence gets all over the place. But like we talked about last week, I'm definitely glad we're playing Fulham first of the promoted teams
And
than
not Leeds.
not Leeds and West Brom.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a team
West
we should
Brom.
beat. You know, they're a team we used to be
We
in the
we've
heyday of
lost to them.
Arsenal.
We've lost to them though as well before.
Enough, yeah.
Yeah, we've lost to them a few times.
And they're that team that doesn't make life easy for you, and
No.
that's not a game you want to play first off where you're just going to have to grind out a victory. You know, Fulham
Yep.
seems like the perfect place to go and just get a smooth 3-0 win, get ready for the next game.
Yeah, I much prefer Fulham as opposed to West Brom or Leeds. Leeds, I think could shock some teams this season. They're gonna be good.
They're going to at least, I mean, Bielsa's style is high press 90 minutes, 100%
Yeah.
of the time. I mean, we
Yep.
played them last season in the Carling Cup, I think, or FA Cup. I can't remember.
With one of the cups, yeah.
And it was the first half they were dominant. Like they should have scored 3 or 4 goals. That was in the height of that was pre Arteta, in the height of us playing like shit. And Leeds came out and was like, damn, this team is taking it to us. And then somehow we came back and beat them. Reece Nelson scored. But they're a team that's going to press you. They're going to press Liverpool. I don't think they're going to be. They might be a little bit afraid and go like balls to the wall, and it might backfire. But you're still going to have to deal with that for a while. So.
Oh yeah, I think they're an attacking team. They're going to score goals. They're going to be tough. Fulham, I didn't watch a ton of their games last year. I did see that they did pretty well in the championship, and obviously they got promoted, so they must be a good side. They must
Yeah.
have some stability in there. I don't see any big worry signs for Arsenal tomorrow though. Like I don't have anybody on that radar that's like, oh, I'm
Watching out.
worried about that. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think that
they have Mitrovic, who
Mitrovic is
scored a
good.
lot
Yep.
of goals
Yep.
before the season they got relegated.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, now we have defenders, like
And he's much older now than he was a few years ago, like than when he was like on top of it.
yeah. Another interesting thing about Fulham is that they got Areola from PSG.
They did, and we were talking about getting him.
Supposedly, I mean, you hear the news he's offered to Arsenal and then he signs for Fulham. Like that's a huge difference.
That's a big gap. That's one of those ones those stories that you're like, is this one, was that real? Because why would he? Where's the gap? Where's the disconnect on that? Like, how did he go? How was there talk about going to Arsenal and then you completely just go to Fulham? That's a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good goalie though.
He is, yeah.
He was good for PSG.
Mm-hmm.
He was good for Real Madrid. He just had keepers in front of him that no one could get past. So
You think he'll get the nod tomorrow to start?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who their keeper was before, but
yeah. What about us? Who do you think's going to start for us tomorrow?
in the goalie position?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm hearing today that we've accepted a bid from Aston Villa.
For Martinez.
Yeah, from Martinez. So
and that would likely keep him out.
He definitely earned the number 1 spot.
Yeah.
He basically didn't make any mistakes and did a ton of wonderful things, was a great goalie. So he earned to be number one. So if he was starting tomorrow, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
But
no, same. Yeah, but if he's already thinking about leaving, they're probably not going to play him.
yeah, I mean, I think it'll tell you whether he's staying or leaving depending on whether he starts. Because if he
Sure.
doesn't start, that's the kind of confidence hit that can take someone who's been playing perfectly, and then he'll be like, well, that's still not good enough, and then drops his head a little bit, you know. And
Yeah.
also, if he's not our number one, sell him. You know,
Yeah, and
that's
I think
a business decision
you
we have
think
to make.
they probably had a conversation with him. He's older than Leno. Leno is probably going to still stay the number one, as he signed for the club as a number one. Those terms usually don't change very much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean we can move into transfers about that just in general
Or
because we're
just, yeah, just
yeah
let's stay on the
yeah
gold topic for now.
yeah. And I mean Leno. I mean I'm guessing that they've had a conversation behind closed doors. Arteta has been like, "You're still my number one." They've probably let Martinez know that, and that's why he's entertaining bids and thinking of exiting. Because, as I would imagine, that they've discussed, like, "Hey, you're probably not the main guy here, and with that, you're gonna have to still play behind Leno as second fiddle for the most part, and take your opportunities as they come." And he probably wants more first team football,
Which
which
he
is
totally
fair. Which
deserves.
is fair. Yeah,
And also, we're in the position now where before, how much was he worth? Who knows? You know, no one
nothing.
really
Probably
knew
nothing.
about him. He
He
was,
probably could have left for less than five before this.
yeah. And now apparently Aston Villa is offering 20. That's legitimate funds. And
Yeah,
we can use that towards, you know, whoever else we're going for. You know, 20 million in the bank is not bad for a keeper at this time, no matter
I
what.
I wish he'd go somewhere else for his own sake. Like I think he has the potential to play Champions League football. He could go play in Europe somewhere and be a top goalkeeper for someone else.
I know.
He's a very good goalkeeper. It's a shame that we're going to probably lose him after such a great display. I, you know, he I didn't ever really rate him, and he came out and he was solid. Like he's a very good goalkeeper.
For sure. But what we need to do transfer wise is to make those tough decisions. And when a player proves himself but doesn't fit in the team, cash in.
Yeah, sure.
That's the crucial aspect of transfer business for big
Yeah,
clubs, because sometimes you can't keep all of your informed players. But if
fair.
you have to let them go, then you make it worth your while.
Well, they seem like they got their head on a little bit straighter right now with Edu and Arteta in charge of managing you know, the transfer situation. Like it would be nice to see it work as fluid as like Chelsea does. I mean, one thing I respect about Chelsea is when they want business done, they get it done. Like they signed a goalkeeper today. I mean, they've made 7 transfers this summer alone on the ins, and like some big
They're over.
names.
They're past the 200 million mark.
Yeah, and they're not messing around. They get their business done. They do it early. They have it sorted so that they can start building a team.
Yeah,
This business of leaving it till the last day is always a little bit nerve wracking, and also puts us at a disadvantage going into the season. So it's nice to see them doing business a little bit earlier. You'd like to see it a little more along the way. At this point, we have some
when
players we need to
tomorrow the
offload.
season starts,
Yeah,
you know, you would like to have all of your transfers done before the season starts. That's how I feel, because
I
then
agreed.
they come in and it's going to take a little while to adjust anyway. But you know what your team is, you know, going into the season being like, well, I don't know if so and so leaves. Like, if, for example, Maitland Niles and Bellerin left, that would kind of change the whole how we have to format the team, you know, the
Yeah,
whole shape of it and stuff. So,
totally. And
or
we're talking about putting in an attacking midfielder, Hassam Awar. I mean, is like one that they keep being linked with, and Partey. So you're talking about adding 2 players to the midfield that aren't here yet for the start of the season. That dynamic's going to change in a couple weeks.
yeah,
So we'll see what I think that there's a lot of movement still to take place during this window that isn't settled yet that we'll see take shape in the next like week or two because there's a lot of players that have been linked with leaving and coming in. So I don't think they're done with business. And Arteta said they're not done with business. So
if we sell Martinez for 20 mil, we can give him a good send off. Take that 20 million, use it elsewhere. And at the end of the day, we still have Bernd Leno as number one.
Yeah. And we got Matt Macy behind him, who's supposedly pretty good, and another goalkeeper behind him. So do we maybe just hold off on the goalkeeper thing for a bit?
Sell that extra keeper, that's when you do sell that extra player, when you have enough backups and you have a number one that's solid. And Leno started for Germany the other day. He played against Switzerland. No matter what, I mean, Ter Stegen and Neuer, I don't know why they were out for whatever reason, but those are two of the best keepers in recent history. Ter Stegen is almost impossibly good. And Leno is not.
Neuer. And Neuer as well.
Neuer is just like punishingly good. Like
he's just like a beast on his own. He keeps the ball out and plays a sweeper keeper position. Really just crazy type of style. So I mean Leno has all to do there.
But I mean, he started though. For whatever reason, he started number one keeper for Germany. They tied Switzerland 1-1, played against Xhaka. Xhaka was captain for Switzerland. Those are all confidence boosting things. Xhaka had a free kick. I don't know if you saw it.
I did.
He had a good free kick.
Oh yeah, he scored.
Leno saved it.
Nice.
And when I saw that there, I was like, that's the Leno that we remember. It's not like he dropped form.
Yeah.
He's still he was one of our best players him and Aubameyang far and away the best players. Absolutely. And Martinez, I'd throw him in there because he was equally as good. Like, no one was expecting Martinez to do so well.
Yeah.
But even so, we have a fantastic, fantastic goalie, one of our best, I think, since I've been watching, of this century.
Oh, yeah.
He might be better than Lehman,
Well, which is funny because we haven't always had the best goalkeepers. And I think Leno it seemed like a huge hammer blow when he got injured. It was like, oh my gosh, like this dude's
what are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do?
One consistent player. Him and Aubameyang are the only, like, those two players get injured. It's just like, what do we do? Because I don't know if anyone will step up.
I mean, he got injured. I was like, oh, this is might as well walk away from this. We're not gonna do well. Martinez hasn't played at all, and turns out he's incredible as well. He's just as good. And it's pretty rare to have a team that has two incredible goalkeepers. So it makes sense if one leaves, because if you look at all the other big teams, they usually only have one. That's the main dude. Liverpool, City, United, Chelsea, they all only have one goalie that is the main guy, and the other one usually is a few steps behind. And so can't blame Martinez. I think it's unfortunate that he spent so much time with us and is going to leave so early after like proving himself. It would have been nice to have him there another year at least.
But it's not a bad storyline. I mean, loaned out for years, struggled, must have had just tons of hardships, comes back, gets his opportunity, gets his Rudy moment, totally lives up to it, wins 2 trophies, and then gets sold for big money to a place where he can be number one. That's a good storyline. That's not disappointing.
And they're probably going to give him a good
he can't fit in. Yeah, but there's way worse things, and I think that he won't be bitter. He won't be like, oh, as soon as I do good, you sold me. It's like, no, we sold you to where you're going to be number one goalie, like you always wanted to be, and he could be goalie for Argentina. So
yeah.
I think
he could
fit all parties.
Yeah. That's why I think I wish he would go somewhere else than Villa. I mean, no disrespect to Aston Villa, and I love that they're in the Premier League, but like his ability says more. Like he could have gone somewhere else that's where he could have played in Champions League right now, like easily.
Yeah.
So but you never know. You never know what in 2 years' time he might end up somewhere else. Barcelona or something, if they're looking for. So maybe this is the step in the right direction for him.
Who did Chelsea get as their keeper?
I didn't know his name.
Did they get a new number one or just another?
It looked like a new number one. It looked like Kepa was getting left out at the end of the season, and he didn't play him in in the FA Cup final.
Mm.
And there a lot of Chelsea fans don't like Kepa. So
Well, after that time where he refused to be subbed, it's like
yeah, it was
you can't
ridiculous.
do that, dude. You can't rely on someone who will just tell the coach
Yeah,
to fuck off in the middle of a game.
exactly.
Like
Yeah,
no,
yeah, not the kind of system you want in place.
no. No.
Anyone else out you think is definitely going to leave, and if so, where are they going? And
I would I would say that by the end of the window, Bellerin is gone. I
yep,
think it's too much talk. I think he's
yep,
one of those players that I feel his popularity is higher than his talent and his effect on the pitch.
yep,
So he kind of has to strike while the iron is hot. If a team like Barcelona or PSG is interested, I don't think they're going to be interested forever. And they're into him for his brand. He brings something where he can do photo shoots and
yeah, he's into fashion.
runways and
Paris makes
catwalks.
sense. Paris makes sense for him.
Yeah, like he could be the new Jean Paul Gaultier model.
Yeah, yeah, he loves fashion. It would make sense. I have nothing against him. Like I think he's probably a nice person, and he seems to be a good guy. And ever since his knee injury, his pace is gone. Can't cross the ball, and that's not good enough. And I think if other players are stepping up and are proving themselves, like it might be time to move on, even with the popularity. Like, I mean,
Well, another one of those players too that we can cash in on him and fund a deal that makes more of an effect on the pitch, then that's what we should do because he's not a player. He's not indispensable.
yeah.
There are a few players that are indispensable right
Oh
now.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would even include Lacazette's kind of in the bubble of indispensable or not, but I would almost consider him to be on that level of indispensable. Him, Pepe, Aubameyang,
yeah.
Leno. Some players are just like no,
You can't get rid of him.
you
Yeah, you can't get
can't
rid of him.
because that will
Yeah,
crush the team. Like even if, I mean, they're talking about when rumors of Aubameyang leaving. It's like how much do we get for him, and we can't replace him with what we can get for him financially.
exactly.
So that's
What?
where you're
Yeah,
indispensable.
and it looks like he signed a new deal. I know we keep saying it each week, and this is week 3 that we've been discussing this now.
Yeah.
But the reports are really heavy yesterday that he signed the deal and that it's pen to paper. I'm seeing anywhere from 275 a week to 350 to over what Mesut Ozil makes. So maybe they got some plans for Mesut Ozil to get off the books because I find it kind of hard to believe that we're going to have both of them on 350 a week for this year.
I know. What would you give to have Arsenal's budget shown to you?
I would love to. I mean, I
Because
feel like
sometimes
it's,
we act
yeah,
like we literally have £0
dollars.
to
Yeah,
deal with.
yeah,
Then all of a sudden we have two players on 350 a week, and it's like, wait, you can do this? So you
yeah.
just been choosing not to. But that's
I
part of
think,
we talked about yesterday. Historically, back to the Herbert Chapman days, the ownership of Arsenal has always been like, we don't spend a lot of money.
yeah,
They don't say we don't have a lot of money.
they just
They
don't
say we
spend
don't
it.
spend a lot of money.
Yeah,
So, but it's always funny though because sometimes it seems like we just don't have any money to spend, and then all of a sudden, even when we offered Ozil 350 a week, that was like, wait, you can do that?
yeah.
No,
That was shock. That was shocking a few years ago, which was like, what? Because most of the players, like, no one was even on over 200 a week there. I mean,
yeah. And
we aren't a Man City.
Van
Yeah,
Persie wanted 200 back
yeah,
in the
flat
day. That
200, and they
was
said no.
no, I
Mhm.
wasn't not going to do it. So strange.
Yeah,
But well,
and they put
Ozil played against Aston Villa
he
apparently.
did. Yeah, for the first time under Arteta. So is that just one of those things? He also played El Neni again. I think El Neni's likely to leave, even though he had a good game in the Community Shield. I think he's likely to move on. I think Arteta has a plan in place to try to get the best out of the team. It doesn't mean that he doesn't like those guys. It doesn't give him a run of games and like, hey, this doesn't mean that I don't like you. This is not part of my future plans. Like
Yeah.
they're at the ends of their contracts. It's time to get some new people in. You know, I time to go. And El Neni wouldn't be mad about that either. Like he can go play. He gets to play each week then. Like
Yeah.
I know most footballers, we want to play the game.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't want to ride the bench
no,
no
that's
matter
not.
what.
Yeah, even if like, and if you do, then you obviously don't love the game like you should.
Yeah,
And I mean, you want to be in the game. That's where it's fun. It's not fun on the bench.
right.
So
Yeah, no matter what team you're on, no matter who
yeah,
you are, you got to play. So, and especially since we got Ceballos locked in,
yeah,
it's going to be hard to fit him and Shaka and El Neni. But the thing is, the way El Neni played and showed that what he could do as a utility defensive midfielder, I'm not afraid of the fact that he might stay or might play. I think there's so many people that everyone, including myself, have totally written off, totally been like, get him out, or if they leave, whatever, I don't care. But what Arteta is showing is that some of those players might actually be totally legit. And that's true with El Neni and even more with Genduzi. And we can just move into just transfer in and outs, Arteta and
yeah,
prospective lineups. But I mean, Genduzi is now there's talks that he's going to stay. I'm not I'm not super disappointed because here's a dude with promise. If he gets his mind right,
yeah.
adds to his game, believes in Arteta and listens to Arteta, because if else he won't play. But this is a dude who's capable. He's young. I mean, we're thinking about selling him to Barcelona. So if that's a Barcelona quality player on our team, that's a good thing.
Totally. I mean, he just needs to get his attitude right. If I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that one? I don't know. I so much talk of him leaving this summer and like frozen out. He might be able to get back in there. I don't know that he has the right mentality. Um, you hope if he stays that he doesn't have another bust up this season and another problem, because it'll be harder to offload him again next year. So if he does stay, he needs to be in the right mindset and he needs to perform and listen to direction
For
and
sure.
and not have an attitude problem like he's had, because otherwise it's going to cost us money. So it's one of those things I think they have to weigh, like, do we dump him now or do we take a risk and keep him and see if he turns into something that we could use?
Yeah.
Um, but
Well, I
I
mean,
think
I
he's
heard,
good. I think he's good. He was good. He was performing well before he had all these like mishaps.
yeah.
And
And you still a lot of talent, a lot of potential, but he does need to get his attitude right. You're
he
correct.
does, yeah. Yeah.
And if we let him go, I would like to see us get what we deserve for him. They're talking about a swap deal with Julian Draxler. And to me, that seems a little bit sketch.
Yeah.
Draxler was linked to Arsenal how long ago?
5 years ago
Like,
plus.
just
Like
these
he's
players that you're
yeah,
linked to, and then 5 years later, like
yeah,
Draxler 5 years ago was rated way higher than he is now. Like, yeah,
yeah.
he played for
Mhm.
Germany. I don't think he's bad. He has
Mm-mm.
a tough road to get into the first team at PSG, obviously. But
Yeah.
it's like what? And where does he fit in? Is he that creative midfielder, Coutinho like?
Because he's
Not
kind of a winger. Because kind of a winger. He's not going to sit behind the number like behind the number 9. He's not going to hang in the center attacking midfielder position. Like he usually plays out wide. So we kind of are good there. Like I don't know that we need
so
him.
many wingers. We can't. I mean, we're
Yeah.
like we've consistently spoken about. We have lineup configurations where it's hard to fit in Pepe. It's hard to fit in Lacazette, and these are players
William.
that, to
Yeah.
me, yeah. I mean, William.
Yeah.
He's our if he's our clutch backup winger, then we don't need to be buying Draxler, and it's not worth it to give away a potential prospect like Genduzi for
Yeah.
someone who I don't see any clear place for him on the squad. Like, I think we need either to get tons of money or we need to get that attacking midfielder that we've been craving, like OR, Coutinho, etc.
Totally. I think we'll see some movement. I'm not sure who's going to come in and out right now. It's all up in the air on those. I think Departe or Awar seem likely. One of them at least. One of them.
OR would be a big deal. because
Yeah, because that
he's
changes
hot right
things.
now. People saw him in the Champions League are like, wow, this guy's really good. So if he goes to Arsenal, that's a message to the other teams of like, damn, they got him, you know?
Yeah, and he seems like an Arsenal type player. Like he looks like an Arsenal type player. You know, it would be nice to see a new center attacking midfielder with promise. I don't think Coutinho's happening now. We're both going to be unfortunately bummed about that one because
It was a bit of a long shot anyway. You know,
yeah,
any kind
it
of
was always,
player of
yeah.
his caliber, we don't expect Arsenal to go after because it'll be too expensive.
And
So
he just won the Champions League like a few weeks ago. So, and then he left his on loan club that he won the Champions League with to go back to his parent club of Barcelona, where Messi's now staying,
yeah,
and has U-turned on that whole thing. And it just seems like Barcelona's a mess, though. Like whatever's going on there, it's a mess.
yeah. And we'll see what happens. It's another one of those things though, like public sentiment can turn so quickly on a player or a team, and then you forget like this is still Barcelona. You know,
Yeah,
they still
yeah,
have Messi. Like,
they have
okay, he
Messi.
doesn't
Yeah,
want to be there, but Messi playing at 3/4 speed is still he can still
yeah,
score you that 2 goals to get you out of a 1-0 defeat, you know, and you end up winning the game instead of losing the game. Like
totally.
he'll hit that
Should we?
free kick and you're back in
Yeah,
it.
yep. So what about Arteta? How do you think he's done so far? And what are you looking forward to this season from him?
Could not be more pleased with what he's done. His attitude, the way he presents himself, the way he speaks to the media, seeing shots of him at training sessions, everything that this dude exudes is positivity. And
Yeah,
I'm so happy. I was one of the doubters before he came for sure. I didn't see what the deal was. I looking back now, I didn't appreciate him as enough as a player. I think it was the
yeah.
circumstances of how we got him as a player. It was kind of like that panic
Final,
buy.
it
And at
was.
that point, I was still thinking, well, we should be getting players from Barcelona or we should be getting them from Real Madrid. Why are we getting players from Everton? You know?
And
So
someone that seemed to have blossomed already before he went to Arsenal, but he still was good for us.
yeah,
Agreed.
he scored
I was,
some goals.
yeah,
A really cool style of player, really. I just
yeah,
didn't I wanted more, how I still remembered the Invincibles and I wanted Patrick Vieira, so Arteta to
sure,
me was a disappointment, but I didn't give him enough credit as a player. As a coach, I was still pretty much I didn't like the fact that he went directly to Man City after he retired, because it just seemed like players kept doing this to us, like Czech
yeah,
gives us 10 mediocre years, and as soon as he gets his testimonial match, he's just going straight to Chelsea to pick up his salary from them again, like just
yeah,
like I don't care. As soon as I leave, I'm going to the team that wants to beat you, so it was
sure.
kind of a
And
low
that's
blow.
that's like Vieira as well. Vieira went to Man City and like in a coaching role before, and yeah, I think with Arteta, he got an opportunity to work with Pep Guardiola,
For
and
sure.
it turned out to be a right decision
For
because I
sure.
think I think it benefits us a lot. I mean, he went and learned from Pep firsthand how Pep is managing a team and how he's managing players and personalities. He's gotten to see the best do it in front of him. He learned from Wenger probably, and he learned from a number of managers at Everton. Um, and now with Pep, I think he's coming in with a real freshness and a new take on it. He probably learned what Pep's doing right and what it can be improved upon as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, if you're an assistant to Pep, that doesn't mean you're not the cone man, as some people have claimed that he was, like
yeah,
he was with him, physically with him. It seemed like 24 hours a day,
yeah,
like every time Man City scored, Pep be hitting Arteta, like, yeah, hey, see, remember we talked about this? Like
yeah, yep.
he was drinking it in, and the dude is
Oh
smart.
yeah,
He's always been
yeah,
intelligent player. Like I watched something with Van Persie, and they were like, "What do you think of Arteta?" And he's like, "I knew he would be a good coach. He was already doing things like a coach when he was a player, and on the field, but also like he'd have people over to his house on Christmas, like organizing these things. He's just a classy, intelligent dude
Yep.
with the best attitude that is so refreshing. When he speaks to the reporters, he's so confident and always positive and
And no bullshit
rude.
either. Like very, very to the point.
For sure. And that's the thing. When he talks about the non-negotiables in that great
Mhm.
ad, the Arsenal, This Is Family, one of the best ads, and
Yeah,
he's the
yeah.
star of that. Like
Hmm.
he's the star. We have Wenger was definitely a star manager, but
For
his
sure.
star had waned.
Hmm.
And but we have an up and coming star manager.
We
That's
do.
something that people are going to be thinking about. That's going to attract players.
Oh
His
yeah.
his worth. He is the reversal of fortune that we saw last year, and the difference
Oh,
between years of what could be really really bad to all of a sudden we're looking up and with confidence now. So I
oh yeah. Yeah,
can't
and a
rate him
well
highly enough.
and a well deserved promotion yesterday into first team manager from first team coach. So
Yeah,
you knew that role was going to change at some point, and he is a true manager. I'd say that he's
for sure.
managing the team and managing who goes in and out. I think he has a lot more say than a lot of like than even Unai Emery did. I don't think Emery had any say really in the transfers. He he was always seemed like a temporary solution for us. I never thought he was going to be a long term
Well,
solution.
he couldn't really assert himself because he couldn't communicate well enough, and I don't know if that was the
Yeah,
language barrier or the many other ways in which it's hard to communicate between players and the media and your own management. And it's really really hard, but
yeah,
Arteta has answered that by just being like, here's my philosophy and I don't waver from it. He
yeah,
talks about the non-negotiables and it's just like, and I think that was really instilled with Pep, you know, but
yeah,
he came from that Spanish background. Like the Spanish football players, their attitude has to be 100% and that's a given, you know, like if you
yeah.
have a bad attitude coming up in the Spanish youth system, you won't be tolerated.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
you can't
Much
put
more
your own
disciplined.
ego in front of the team or the manager, and they're really strict about that. So he has that in his blood, and he really lives up to it. And all of a sudden, that's changing things. Because if you say this is non-negotiable, if you have a bad attitude, you won't play. I don't care who you are. Then the person who you put in has lived up to those expectations, and that's why you see an El Neni come in and he actually did well. And you're thinking, okay, if we have El Neni, I'm not worried about it. And that's why you see Ozil struggle, and you see, players that before were putting a lot of ambiguity in the team. A lot of that kind of like, oh, do we have to win? Do we have to go hard? That kind of wishy-washiness is leaving the squad, and it's being replaced by straight up confidence, and that's so exciting.
Oh yeah, I think he does that to players. I think he can give players the confidence. Like El Neni seemed like a little bit of a broken player when he left to go on loan and didn't know his left foot from his right maybe, and he maybe playing gave him some confidence. But I think Arteta also really instills belief into the players. We've seen players pick up their game. Xhaka, I mean, completely different player under him. So I think that dynamic of what he brings is it's
Crucial.
priceless because he's not only building relationships with the players individually, but he's helping them grow individually to be part of a better system. And that's you want them to be performing as players and people in society as well and being good
For
people.
sure.
They're
That's
examples. So
Yeah, that's such an Arsenal trait as well, is that class on and off the field,
yeah.
being a good
Mhm.
person and then exemplifying that on the pitch. And that's what makes it so enjoyable to be an Arsenal fan, that we have
Yeah,
that kind of class.
that's
You know,
standard.
I remember when Ljungberg took over, there was like some photos of him that Arsenal had done, and he was on the training pitch and he had like a piece of paper, and and it just looked like, dude, this dude is scared, as anyone would be. All of a sudden, you're thrown from the under 23s to coaching, the first team. but you could tell he was just kind of like, oh, okay, wait, I gotta organize all this stuff, and I'm overwhelmed right now. And then you see Arteta as soon as he came in, and because he's still fit enough to be a player, so he came
Oh,
in with
yeah.
the cleats. He's motioning people, his body language is assertive and like a player, and he's showing them what to do with the ball by actually doing it,
Oh, yeah.
because his
And if
touch
you,
is so clean, his
yeah,
passes are crisp, and he's telling do this, do this with no ambiguity whatsoever. And all of a sudden that just like immediately clicks on. Like, I mean,
oh,
all
yeah.
these first team players, they have to be good players. And
Hmm.
it becomes more so of, well, what do I do? Where's my place? Define my role.
He looks like Pep out there in training sessions, just directing people. And if you watch the All or Nothing documentary on them, they're very similar. This stature and directional, how they're pointing people to do things. And so you gotta. I'm excited. I'm excited to have him. I think that we're gonna do well this year. I think that we're gonna surprise some teams,
For sure.
and I think people should be worried. I think
They're not though, and
yeah,
good.
they're not.
But they're
Yeah, good.
underestimating Arsenal.
They are.
I see other teams talk about Arsenal, and they just dismiss Arsenal right off the bat.
Mhm.
And there's been a solid decade, I think, of some really weak, spineless Arsenal squads with moments of brilliance, obviously, and a general level of confidence that always keeps us in the hunt somewhat.
Yep.
But there were some times in this past decade where I'm thinking, if I'm a team playing Arsenal, who do I respect? Who am I intimidated of? Who am I afraid of? And I wasn't seeing anyone. And they still kind of have that attitude, at least the fans,
Sure.
from what I'm seeing, because they're just like, Arsenal challenging for the title is an absolute joke, just like a joke. Do I think we will win the title? I think that's too much.
Yep.
But you move into that first solid top four, and then you move into that. It may take a season or two to establish ourselves as real competitors, and
Oh, I
then
think yeah. Goal this year is get into Champions League. I
yeah,
think that's the goal, and
yeah,
I think they should set their sights on that. Everything else can kind of take second fiddle, and get into Champions League. I think that they can do it. I really genuinely believe they can do it.
agreed. Because other teams are not going to have as an easy day as they're used to. I think teams would
No,
go play Arsenal and they'd be like, "Oh, I was kind of like getting ready for this. I thought this might be tough," and they'd be
yep,
surprised at how easy we make it for them. And then all of a sudden now they're like, "Oh wait, you just scored like a sick goal." That goal against Man City that Aubameyang scored. You saw the whole team being like, what?" Like,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
not supposed to do that. Like, how did they do that? You know?
And I think a couple of good games. I mean, start well tomorrow, and keep adding on to it. Just keep winning and keep that winning mentality. I think that we're gonna do some interesting things this season. I mean, you got to give them, full season in charge. I think you're gonna show some grit and some good football, which they've been playing.
Yeah.
So
I'm
we got
definitely
10 minutes
excited.
left. You want to talk about potential champions and the
And
relegations?
yeah. So let's start with relegation first, because
Yep,
that might be quicker,
easier,
quicker thing to talk
easier.
about. I mean, it's always tough because even like Sheffield United, I don't think that they might go down this year, but I think they're gonna have a second year sophomore slump, you know.
Yeah,
And you have the Brightons who are somehow still in the league, you
they're
know.
they're always they're always struggling lately. So
Yeah.
I think
I think it,
Fulham will struggle.
yeah, I think it might be one team who's promoted, and then two of the teams who have been around for a couple of years. I don't think you need. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, West Ham is in a pretty bad place.
they
I
are.
wouldn't have them
I was
second.
gonna say they could go down. I think that West Ham is one of those teams that could go down this year.
Yeah, team like West Ham, even Aston Villa, they can be tough on their day, where they can be garbage. So
Yeah, they don't really have a lot of it. They have Jack Grealish. I mean, he's all right, but if he leaves, they've been talking about him leaving.
yeah,
Um, Villa, I think they're one of those ones that's iffy. They could be either go down or stay up. Mm. I think Leeds is safe. I think Leeds is going to surprise some teams. I think that they might even find themselves in the top half of the table.
Yeah, be one of those promoted teams that gets to be like eighth or something like that.
Yeah, I think Liverpool should watch out for them this weekend. I think Liverpool could lose that game. Liverpool might struggle a little more this season than they have in the previous 3 seasons. Not that
Agreed.
they're going to struggle in the league. They're going to struggle to get top 4. I don't think they're going to win the league. I think they're going to have a League Cup hangover, and I just don't see them getting out of the gate playing that same style and people not picking up on it and not figuring them out a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, their high energy, high press style, which I love to watch. And I'm glad a team like that is winning instead of like a Mourinho Chelsea or something.
Yep.
But it's so hard to keep up, you know.
Sure.
It's hard to keep up for one season. They've been pretty much doing it for 4 seasons now.
Yeah.
Which they won a lot. They won everything there is to win. To do that all over again, to do it all over again, again and again. And you just sense that they don't have the energy that they once did. They didn't, they're still running on the same squad, which I feel like even if you're the best team, I mean, the Invincible squad needed to improve. You know what I mean? Like every year you have to change the dynamic a little bit to keep it fresh.
And that championship winning team is always, it's hard the next year. It's like they did it. It's like they're tired. They put a lot into it.
Yeah.
And
you have that sense of like, okay, I climbed the mountain. And then they're like, okay, climb the mountain again. And you're like, oh, it's just psychologically, it's tough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Unless so you change a little bit.
Who do you got to go down? You got to pick 3. Money is on the table. Who's your 3 going down?
I'll say Brighton. And who was the West Ham? And I think maybe like Crystal Palace.
I think that's a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah, those teams just seem like they've been hanging around for a while too long.
Yeah. Zaha unhappy at Crystal Palace. Surprising he's still there. They just can't keep that up. He should go somewhere else. But I'm going to agree on West Ham. I think West Ham are going to go down. I'm going to say Fulham. Actually, I think they're going to go down. They're not strengthening enough off before the season, and I just don't know that they're going to be able to maintain that going into the Premier League.
Yeah.
And one more, I'm going to say Brighton as well. I think Brighton have been hanging on by a thread, and I think it's going to be a little too much for them. Right, champions, who going to be a toss-up.
I mean, so here's why I don't think even that putting Arsenal in the conversation, not that I'm not going to say that they're going to win it, but I think putting them in the conversation is not as ridiculous as some people think, because I think Liverpool is going to struggle. I don't think they're going to win it. They're
Agreed.
not going to pull a repeat of last season. It's just not going to happen. They have a ton of momentum working. It's spent. They've spent their goodwill and momentum. They made it count. Champions League and the league. They
2 seasons in a row. Yeah.
They cashed in, but the bank is a little low right now. So they're going to struggle, and I can't tip them to win it. And then Man City has been really unimpressive since they won it the last time. You know, they're still kind of they've made some changes. We'll see what their final team ends up looking like. They're always going to be
no David Silva anymore. Like a main dude for a long time. 10 years at the club is gone now. I agree. I think that they're going to
put all the pieces together as well.
If I have to pick the league winner, I don't pick City or Liverpool like as winning.
Teams don't announce themselves as clear-cut favorites to win the league.
No, and obviously 6 games into the league, we're going to probably reevaluate this and say, like, how's it started and what does it look like so far and who's playing well.
They win their first 6 games, it's a total different story. You know
Exactly. Things are different. But I don't know. I wouldn't discount us out of it either. I'd say that, like, I don't want to be like, hey, we're going to do it. I don't think we're going to, but you
But
can't write them
because there's
off.
no clear cut, like
Winner. Yeah.
last year Liverpool was gunning for it, and everyone could smell it that they were going to do it. The
Yeah.
year before
Yeah.
that, the 2 years
They were
before that,
close.
Man City had the swagger of champions, and they executed it, and people just felt like we're not gonna stop this team from winning the title. You
Yeah.
know,
And I think Chelsea has strengthened really well. Like from what we've seen, they've bought some big players, spent a lot of money. Is that going to transfer onto the field right away? I don't know. I don't like I don't know that you can say that they're going to be blatant favorites either. As well as United, I don't think United, even if they get Jadon Sancho, which I still think is a long shot. Like
I
I'm not
just hope it
convinced. I'm
doesn't.
not convinced he wants to
Hope it
go
doesn't
there.
happen, man. He's too
Yeah,
good of a
he's
player to
too
have to
good.
go to a
Yeah,
shit team like United. But I mean,
and
what
I
is
don't see them. I don't see them having the grit to do it. And Solskjaer, I don't see him having the know with how to steer a team to win the league. It's very difficult. That's probably
Solskjaer?
what.
His philosophy is, if you give me the best players in the world, I'm going to try to be Alex Ferguson and convince them to just go out there and win.
Yeah,
Like he's different than Arteta, where Arteta's like, okay, you get the ball, then you move here, then you move here, then you move here. If they get the ball, then you move. He's like
yeah.
tactically
He's
on the
managing.
pitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's managing. Solskjaer's he's just a person that's in
Oh,
charge.
if I get Sancho, and then we got Maguire, and we're getting all these big names to fill the positions, then if I put that field on there, if I put that team out there on the field, then the talent level is so high that they should win. All I have to do is basically keep their confidence up, keep them going. But that hasn't
Yeah,
really worked since Alex Ferguson. There's few coaches that can actually do that,
and
and I don't see
yeah, and
Solskjaer.
Tottenham. You can't see Tottenham doing it. Like, I mean,
Oh, I mean,
they
watching the
look a
All or
mess.
Nothing on Tottenham,
They look a mess.
they look weaker than I even thought. Like,
Yeah, same. That is not a good documentary for them.
oh,
The Man City one made them look stellar,
yeah,
and the Tottenham one makes them look like a joke.
yeah,
And
it's almost embarrassing to watch sometimes for
yeah,
them, because you
mhm.
see the lack of confidence and lack of belief that they have. Like,
And football knowledge. Like, I mean, I don't think Daniel Levy has any idea what he walked into. You and I know more about the league than he does, and he's just a businessman that liked football, that kind of got into it. Like, you can tell from his conversations that he doesn't know what's going on.
yeah, and Mourinho too is not a he's not going to change the style of play like
Oh no, he's set.
he's a confidence guy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna, and he always does well when his owners will spend 200 million a window to get him every player he wants. Like,
yeah.
okay, but he struggles without money, and he seems to be, the way he talks to the team, like they all look like, oh shit, he just sweated me, man. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, it works against their confidence, I feel like.
So
So
who's winning the league?
I think you have to say Man City. I'd have to put Man City there, because I think they've done it before.
Yeah,
They have a little bit of momentum, in that Liverpool is not this unbeatable side anymore.
Pep will
They're
have it
going to
dialed in as well.
strengthen. They still have Pep. They're not going to give
Yeah,
anyone any easy chances or free time to move. So I have to say
agreed.
they're the best, but I think there's a big chance they won't win, though, at the same time.
Yeah, agreed. I think that they're in pole position to be the first to do it, but
I
I don't know
think Liverpool, Man City, definite top four. That's
for sure. I
then
think that they're in there. I'd
okay.
even say Chelsea. I'd say Chelsea's in the top four as well.
I think with what they've done in the transfer market, you have to put them there.
Yeah, and I
And
think we
then,
might get that last spot. I think that we're going to pip United to the fourth. I'm going to put us in fourth.
yeah, Pip United and Tottenham. This team with all this momentum and Arteta, and
We're better than them.
yes, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, Premier League starts tomorrow. Can't wait.
Can't wait. I'm gonna pull an all-nighter, so I'm up at 4
Uh,
a.m. to watch the
oh
pregame.
yeah, I'm going to get up and watch it. I'm not going to pull it all nighter tonight, but I'm going to definitely get up and watch it. So I'll expect a good morning text live tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. We'll probably be in the fresh away kits, which are
Uh,
sold out, by the way.
finally some beautiful kits. The line. I don't know about you, but I need to drop about $1,000 on all new Arsenal stuff and just
I actually have a rainy day fund that I add to every month when new kits come out. I just spend about a
can't
grand.
play football right now, which is heartbreaking because of coronavirus. But you better believe I'm gonna buy some socks and shorts and be ready to go for when I'm able to start getting out there again. But yeah, but
Those third kits, the aqua,
beautiful,
the light
beautiful.
pink. I just want to see
Yeah,
them in real life because it looks like they have that nice texture on them too.
it looks really nice. So, um, all right, man. Well,
All right,
great
dude.
chat again today.
All
And
right.
yeah, tune
Yeah.
in next week for episode 4. Come on to Arsenal. Let's get a
Let's
first
do it.
win under the belt tomorrow.
3-0 at least.
3-0. Let's see it.
All right, man.
All right,
Have a
mate.
good
Take
one.
care.
You too.
Go Arsenal.
Peace.
Bye.